Time for the local business spotlight on City News 570.
And we are joined this morning by our friend Faisal, Susiwala, broker of record and Canada's top RE/MAX agent. Faisal, good morning.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. How about yourself?
I'm very well, thank you.
Glad to hear that. Can you give us an update on what we're seeing locally in the real estate market, Faisal?
Well, the pause has continued, but I think there's going to be a positive sentiment now with the expected hold on interest rates. Inflation numbers came down to 3.1. And, coming into the new year, the expectation is that hopefully the first quarter, but at the very latest, the beginning of the second quarter, we'll start seeing rates declining. And that will help increase the, real estate activity again.
So is that kind of the bright side to increased interest rates, that inflation is coming down?
I think so, and we're seeing a little bit of a pause in spending right now, which again, that's helping. So rents are up and mortgage rates are up, so that has stopped people from spending, which has controlled inflation.
I saw a headline just last week talking about an expectation that average prices will decrease in the year ahead. What are you seeing on inventory and prices in the region right now, Faisal?
Well, yeah, I disagree with that sentiment. I'm not sure where those numbers came from, and I think there wasn't a real thoughtful process in that number, because if we look at the fundamentals of the market, and just if we look at earlier this year, January to May, rates had just paused, had not even come down, and it increased an influx in the market. So people have just been sitting on the sidelines, so I fully expect that the market will probably improve 3 to 5% as the rates start declining. For every %, I expect a 3 to 5% increase in the real estate values.
We've got some new rules now on transparency related to offers on homes. Can you give us a sense of how this affects both buyers and sellers?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a lot of mixed feelings on this, but in the past, agents were restricted from sharing any aspects of a competing offer other than the number of offers in a multiple offer situation. So really, it's just transparency. So the seller can now choose to make offers transparent at any time during the listing period or even during the midst of negotiations of an offer. But this could come at a cost to both buyers and the sellers. So let's look at the pros here. So buyers will know what the other offers are, and that way they can bid accordingly. They don't blindly pay well above a competing offer, as we have seen in the past, or remove conditions based on assuming that the other offers don't have any conditions in them. But the downside is that it could encourage further bidding wars where emotions start running high because, okay, someone's got an offer for $950, well, I'll offer $955 because now they know. So it becomes like a live auction per se. And, their limit may not be that high, but in the emotions, they're not willing to walk away. Knowing the terms of another offer may also encourage the buyer to remove conditions without confirmation that they're able to remove those conditions. So inspection or financing or sale of property, they get caught up in that moment. Now, for sellers, the pro here is that they can encourage that bidding war to happen. Motivated buyer will continue to outbid the best offer that's out there. The seller will feel that, all the parties were given a fair opportunity to outbid each other and market value was actually achieved. But again, on the downside, the fear of whether or not the buyer is making a thoughtful decision or is being impulsive in that heat of the moment. So I would encourage, sellers to make sure there's a bank draft on the table so that we avoid buyer's remorse and problems at the closing. The last point here is that if the seller makes the choice to make an offer transparent, all buyers have the option to withdraw their offers, and the seller could end up with no offers whatsoever. So there's a lot of moving parts here to consider if you're going to be transparent about your offers.
That's great information, as always. Faisal, thanks very much for joining the show.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Faisal Susiwala is a broker of record and Canada's top RE/MAX agent. You can find him online at homeshack.com. And don't forget about Faisal's best-selling book, The Real Deal, which just reached #1 on Audible.
The local business spotlight, where your business comes first on City News 570.